Most people think that living a balanced, Christ centered life means trying to squeeze in your fitness, your prayer, your routines into whatever time you can find. But here's the truth: if you're always reacting and you're always saying, I never have time, you're missing the point. Look, right now you're struggling because your days have no structure. Your prayer life, your routines, and your fitness all feel totally scattered. You want to grow spiritually and physically, but life keeps pulling you in different directions. And this is leaving you frustrated and stuck. Maybe right now you're trying to white knuckle your way through prayer and growing in virtues, or you're jumping from fad diet to fad diet and these free online workout guides that don't even fit your goals or your body type. This is why progress is so slow and you end up quitting. It's unsustainable and inefficient. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through how you can take back control in all of these areas of your life, following my rule of life blueprint. It's a simple, unified system that bridges the gap between prayer and spirituality and our relationship with Christ and our fitness and nutrition so that we can live a unified, Christ-centered life without all the chaos. Let's get into it. So with the rule of life, here there are essentially 3 steps to it. And I have a free PDF document. So if you want to snag this, go ahead and comment below. I'll send it over to you after this video and you can literally fill this out and journal along with me as we walk through these 3 steps. So the first step is we want to identify what vice we're struggling with and trying to overcome. And then we're going to map out the opposing virtue. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're someone who struggles with anger and maybe gluttony. We struggle with controlling our cravings, our sweet tooths. We always eat a little more than we should. So on the rule of life document, under vice to overcome, we'd write down anger and gluttony. Then I provide a list of opposing virtues that we want to try and strive for. And this will help provide a North Star for how we want to structure, because the aim of your rule of life is cultivating virtue and growing closer to Christ. So by seeing what the areas are we need to improve on, that's going to make everything else make sense. So opposing anger, we could write patience, meekness, right? These are some of the virtues opposing to that. And with gluttony, we would write temperance, self-control. These are things we want to start to practice and build up. The second thing you want to do is we want to break up our day into 3 sections. So I recommend you break it down by morning, afternoon, and evening. And here we're going to map out our prayer routine. Now this rule you can think of is the standard by which every day you're going to live for Christ. So this is just my suggestion. You don't necessarily have to do 3 parts of your day, but this follows centuries of tradition and teaching on the best way, the most effective way to keep our minds constantly fixed above. So in the morning, for example, you write down, maybe you want to read scripture and do some short meditation before you start your day. In the afternoon, you would write out what time you want to be able to reorient your mind. That could be quick scripture reading, a quick prayer, the Angelus prayer or the Liturgy of the Hours, any sort of devotion that you already have and you want to be consistent. And then our evening, I think a great way to sum it up is some sort of examination of conscience, some gratitude prayers, and some nighttime intentions for those we love, right? This is our bare example of how we would structure the prayers into everyday routines. Lastly, once we have our vice and virtue and we have our prayer times mapped out in our day, we're going to map out our workout and fitness routines. So get clear and realistic with yourself. If you can only work out twice a week, then we're going to plan for 2 days out of the week. If we can do 3 days, awesome, etc. We're going to time block on our schedule what time, and we're going to try and do this the same time every day or at least every week. So if you're working out Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, map it onto your rule of life, and at the same time, let's say it's 6 a.m. before you go to work. That's your new workout block. And we take that just as seriously as we do our prayer time. And then we also want to set our daily food boundaries. These are going to relate to your specific food protocol. So for example, if you're following an intermittent fasting protocol, perhaps your feeding window is only you eat from 12 to 8 p.m. So we're going to write that down as one of the disciplines for our nutrition. And then perhaps we also want to list out that maybe we only eat sweets on Saturdays and Sundays, right? Whatever those boundaries are for you, you're going to map those out onto this one cohesive document that we're going to follow as your new rule. Those are the 3 main steps. There's one bonus step, and that's other discipline you want to include into this, right? Depending on what vice you're struggling with. So a few examples could be you want to attend adoration once a week. Maybe you want to attend an extra mass every week. Maybe we want to cultivate, if we're trying to work against sloth, we want to make sure we wake up at the same time every single day, Monday, all the way even on the weekends through Sunday. Those are some examples of other disciplines. Maybe there's a fasting day in there. We go every Friday, we're going to do a full 24-hour fast. Okay, write all of that down on this one document. Look, this blueprint works because it's not about random effort or willpower. It creates clear, repeatable structure that integrates your physical, your spiritual, and your daily habits all into one rule of your life. This is how you build sustainable progress and a Christ centered life. Look, if you want help mapping out your own rule of life, you want to access this document and I can walk you through it, comment below and I'll send it over to you absolutely free and you can get working on your rule. Hope this was helpful. God bless.